fight's not over.
Stop the fight!
People.
Everybody, I come here for everybody. Kill everybody. I'm the champ. I'm the king. Kill everybody. Ah!
All right, guys, it's Lane here with Broke Bets, giving you our picks for UFC 289. We got Carson on the other side.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to the main event, Oliveira and Dariush here.
Yeah, kind of a thrown together pay-per-view for Canada here, but we started off with Diana Belbita versus Maria Oliveira. In this fight, man, you don't get too... Like, these girls are just similar styles. They both eat punches and just throw high striking volume. In this case, we're going to take Diana Belbita purely because, I mean, in the striking, it's going to be very close, hard to score, but she's fighting out of Canada, and she's going to be the home crowd fighter here, so I think Belbita edges out a decision. Easily a split decision bet could hit right here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they're so similar. Similar height, similar reach, similar age, similar style. And then on Tapology, 74% of the people are taking Oliveira, and the odds are pretty much dead even, so I think we're going to go with Belbita.
I think Belbita's more hittable, but, man, if you watch Marina Oliveira, you just watch her fights, I mean, the Glory DePaula fight, I mean, here's the MMA math thing. A lot of people probably make their prediction off the fact that Maria Oliveira won a split decision over Glory DePaula, and Diana Belbita lost to Glory DePaula, so people just try to do the MMA math there, but I don't, this is a 50-50 fight. You'll see Maria Oliveira do the Juliana Pena technique where she just runs across the cage and throws a flurry of like 8 strikes in a row, and yeah. And then if Belbita's smart, she just gets her head off the center line and finds a counter strike. Don't know how good she's going to be at doing that. Belbita's not very coordinated. This should be a stand-up fight purely. I think both these girls have a little bit more struggles on the ground. But yeah, Maria Oliveira looks like when she fights, she looks like a video game character on UFC 4 when you're button mashing like the 2 buttons for punches. That's what she looks like. She stands very square, and I just feel like Belbita could land some more impactful blows in this fight. So, any more thoughts here?
Nope.
All right, Diana Belbita by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have David Dvorak versus Steve Erceg. Before this, Matt Schnell was supposed to be fighting Dvorak, but in this instance, we will take David Dvorak against the fighter on short notice here. I just feel like David Dvorak's obviously had more high-level competition, no debate there, and Steve Erceg's main weapon in fights is getting the fight to the ground, and against Dvorak, that's just being a little bit harder to do, harder to find that submission. And I think Dvorak's right overhand is one of his best weapons from what I've seen. Erceg a lot. This guy, he strikes with his hands down a little bit, and he stands very straight up. And you got your hands right here. That overhand can land pretty nice. So I'm thinking a Dvorak KO in the second round. That's my official prediction.
Yeah, Dvorak's definitely fought the better competition here. Erceg coming in on short notice. I mean, pretty close short notice too. I think it's like a week and a half. But yeah, I mean, Erceg's got to get this fight to the ground if he's going to win, and I don't think he'll be able to do so, at least for a long period of time against Dvorak, who hasn't won in 2 years. So hopefully he can get back on the winning streak here.
Yeah, and Mateus Nicolau, he knocked down Dvorak a couple times. Dvorak still survived the ground with him. He's not the most polished fighter. I think he needs refined striking. Like, he is a little bit too one-dimensional. But I think he does use his leg kicks here and pace this fight. I see the odds on Tapology are, say, minus 175. I'm sure it's going to be like minus 300 around fight time for Dvorak. Again, Steve Erceg, his grappling does look good and all, but at the UFC level, can't just win all your fights by getting them to the ground, typically. So, yeah, sticking with Dvorak, I'm going to say overhand right, knockout, round 2. Okay, for the next fight, we have Blake Bilder versus Kyle Nelson. And, man, I'm fading the Tapology community on this one. 95% of people are going for Bilder. I don't see as much as a talent here. I'm going for Kyle Nelson. Not to mention a lot of more high-level competition recently for Kyle Nelson. Doo-Ho Choi was going to lose that fight other than the point deduction. Jai Herbert, everyone expected him to get finished, actually did it okay. Billy Q was in a firefight with, and Billy Q just has a really good chin, survived that fight. This guy's gone through more competitive experiences, and if you've really broken down Blake Bilder, he's not quite as good as I don't think people think he's just not as good as what people think he is. I'm taking Kyle Nelson to win a decision here. If you've watched Blake Bilder on the regional scene, in one of his fights he got taken down and held down the entire fight up until a triangle choke. That's only a year and a half ago. Kyle Nelson used his grappling really well against Doo-Ho Choi, held him down a lot of the fight. And I just think that Kyle Nelson's going to be better here. And yes, he's not the best fighter. I'm not claiming he's the best fighter. He's very stiff. But he does have the home crowd here. And like I said, he's performing better than people expected. And he's looking good in some of these competitive striking exchanges. What do you think here?
Yeah, of recently Kyle Nelson's gone to decision twice. I think in that Jai Herbert fight, I think I bet on the under. Since he was either knocked out or knocked out his opponent in like 10 consecutive fights, I think he's toning it down a little bit. Not being so aggressive, I guess, and he's willing to. He's not willing to go in those firefights, I guess, in his last couple fights here. So he's more disciplined of late, and I think that'll help him win the fight here.
You watch Kyle Nelson, 5 takedowns versus Doo-Ho Choi. Like I said, Blake Bilder getting held down, scary thing. Obviously, Bilder's got a good ground game. He's a very muscular guy, but that also can wear on him over the time of the fight. And something I really don't like about picking or betting on certain people is if they're low volume. And Blake Bilder has almost such little activity. He got credited for 100 significant strikes in his last fight against Shane Young, but about 50 of those were worthless leg kicks, and I don't know where all those strikes came from. He did almost no damage in that fight. He has a good left hook, but he rarely uses it. Blake Bilder only landed 1 takedown on Shane Young on 10 attempts. And I think he just puts out lazy leg kicks, and I think Kyle Nelson can catch him. I'm not super impressed with him. I'm planning to bet on Kyle Nelson. I'm watching what the line's going to do here. Hometown fighter. I think everything's pointing towards him here. So I see the Tapology community. I'm disagreeing with it, and I'm taking Kyle Nelson by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Aiemann Zahabi versus Aoriqileng. Taking Aoriqileng in this fight. Aiemann Zahabi, brother of Firas Zahabi, really strange fighting style, and just how I just broke down with Blake Bilder, this guy is low volume, sitting on the back foot, waiting for the counter shot. So I don't really like that in this fight. I think Aoriqileng's got more weapons. He's been looking really good at 135 in his recent fights. And I think that Aoriqileng will find out a decision here. I just think he's got more weapons, flying knees, good power, body shots. I think he just brings more to this fight, and he'll outpoint Zahabi to a decision. What do you think?
Yeah, Aoriqileng fought bantamweight, and then when he got to the UFC, went down to flyweight. I'm not exactly sure, but he's back up to bantamweight and it's looked good in his last 2 fights. I think that probably had something to do with him struggling, but I like him to win a decision here. I don't know if he'll be able to find a knockout.
I think that
Zahabi's been knocked out once by Ricardo Ramos.
Yeah, I think Zahabi's just so on the back foot, waiting to counter, that he could just be moving backwards this entire fight. So I don't know if he's going to engage in situations where he could get knocked out. Not to mention, Zahabi's last fight with Tercios was so weird. Tercios was not fighting. Zahabi hit him with a couple good punches, and then Tercios decided he wasn't going to fight anymore. Just strange. Qileng, the scare for him would be him slowing down in the 3rd round. We saw that with Jay Perrin in the last 10 seconds, like almost put him out. And then also with Jeff Molina, he got knocked down twice, but then as well in the last 10 seconds, he almost knocked out Jeff Molina. So one thing I don't like about Aoriqileng is he doesn't use his hands to protect his face much, and that could be a problem in this fight. But like I said, mixing together the weapons, I think overall he's being the better fighter here. Haven't really thought about a bet for this fight yet, but we'll see. Aoriqileng by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Miranda Maverick. Got to take Miranda Maverick here by decision. Better in the stand-up, although the grappling could be a complete clusterfuck, and be careful here, guys. Miranda Maverick did get tripped by Erin Blanchfield, given Erin Blanchfield's... Oh, shit, where am I? Yeah, Erin Blanchfield. Given Erin Blanchfield's good in the clinch, good wrestler and all that, a lot of them trips were really way too easy to get on the girl, and that's Jasmine's whole game. It's clinch up, use a hip, grab the hips, and find trips, and that's her whole game. So just be careful betting this fight, because Miranda Maverick could fall down and just lose the whole entire round. But overall, better striker. She probably will try to implement some of her own grappling. She has good offensive grappling, not as good of defensive. And still a young fighter. Yeah, that's what I see. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Jasmine, if she's going to win, she's got to get this fight to the ground. We saw if she's not able to get it to the ground against Natalia Silva, she just destroyed her on the feet. I think Miranda Maverick can piece her up on the feet and probably will. And yeah, like you said, maybe implement her own offensive grappling. I think Jasmine's just a little too one-dimensional, and Miranda Maverick's like 10 years younger than her, which I find is very strange since Jasmine's like 3 fights into the UFC.
Right. If you rewatch the Gabriela Fernandez fight, you'll see that Jasmine a lot of times on the feet was getting pieced up until that takedown. So
right.
Take that with Miranda Maverick. Probably a little bit better striking than Gabriela Fernandez. Yeah. Maverick by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Nassourdine Imavov versus Chris Curtis. Taking Nassourdine Imavov, again, a fight I'd stay away from betting-wise. Chris Curtis has insider information in this fight. Trained with Sean Strickland, best buddies with Sean Strickland. Imavov just fought Sean Strickland. But I think Imavov, first of all, huge at 185. Going to have a big height advantage, size advantage in this fight. And I think he's just going to be more active. However, he should pace his fights better. He's getting tired later in these fights, and he started so fast with Sean Strickland and started so fast with Buckley. Some of these guys, he's slowing down. Although I think his chin has looked good, I think Chris Curtis is going to have a hard time knocking him out. And Imavov using his kicks, using his knees, just using more weapons in this fight. And then Chris Curtis, we all know Chris Curtis's fighting style. High guard, counter punching, and body shots. So I like Imavov to win a decision here.
Yeah, Imavov has been slowing down. I mean, the fight with Sean Strickland was 5 rounds. This is 3, so I don't think that will affect him too much. Yeah, like you said, Chris Curtis trains with Sean Strickland, and he just fought Imavov. I think similar kind of fight here. Chris Curtis will be a little more inactive and wait to counter, and really use those body shots. I think his corner calls a lot for those body shots, and they wear on the opponents as the fight goes on. But yeah, I think Imavov will just be a little more active and use more weapons. And he's only 27, so I mean, he's getting better and better.
Yeah, we saw how Curtis struggled too with Jack Hermansson at range. I don't think Imavov will be that exact type of style, but he does have that length. Jack Hermansson literally just kind of ran away and jabbed him the whole fight. So
and that really like frustrated Curtis because he wasn't able to time him or touch him. So I mean, if Imavov can do that, I think he can really get in the head of Chris Curtis.
Yeah, I think the key to this fight for Imavov would just be teep kicks constantly. Like I said, Curtis with that high guard, his elbows will be up near his chest, that teep kick will be down there all the time, and then he'll have to lower his elbows, try to protect that body shot, so that'll open things up. Imavov by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Eryk Anders versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Taking Eryk Anders here. Marc-Andre, okay fighter. Good, like, decent stand-up. But he's mostly a cardio-based fighter, where he'd just outpace some people, out-grapple some people. Not really particularly special anywhere. Eryk Anders, similar, but I think he brings a different toughness to this fight. This guy's fought at 205, looked way better at 185, and recently his win against Kyle Daukaus, very impressive. I mean, people have their opinions that the Daukaus brothers suck. I don't necessarily say so, they just can't reach, obviously, the top of the division. But again, like 4 knockdowns for Eryk Anders in that fight against Kyle Daukaus. A lot of people thought Eryk Anders won the fight against Jung-Yun Park. Was actually doing pretty good in the striking exchanges. And this guy's worked on his grappling a lot, and he's extremely tough, and I think he hits harder, and I think he finds a knockout in this fight. I kind of doubted him for a while because he was just playing the tough guy, getting beat up by people, but he's looked a lot better, and I think Eryk Anders gets a knockout in the first round here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. Marc-Andre Barriault took a ton of damage in his last fight and was toughed it out, and Marquez just completely gassed himself out going for the finish in the first round. Yeah, I mean, if Anders doesn't do that, he can win this fight easily. I think the only reason Marquez or Barriault won that fight was because Marquez gassed himself out.
Right.
And then I think Anders will have the better striking and be able to defend off some of the takedowns from Barriault.
Yeah, and I think, Marc-Andre Barriault got stung many times in that Marquez fight. Marquez doesn't have much timing on his striking. And I think that Eryk Anders comes with a better gas tank, more size, and in better shape. So I like Eryk Anders here for a knockout to upset the little home crowd fighter. So Anders KO round 1. Okay, for the next fight we have Dan Ige versus Nate the Train in the UFC. In this fight, I'm going to take Dan Ige. Sorry to pick against Nate Landwehr, one of our favorite fighters recently. But, the tough guy thing, it's hard to take all the way, especially with an experienced guy like Dan Ige. So, I think that Dan Ige just touches him up at range. And I think he finds a knockout in this fight. I think that Landwehr leaves his chin up a little bit too much. And sadly, Nate the Train in the UFC, I don't think he wins this one. I'm going to take an Ige by a second round knockout.
Yeah, Ige's 4 years younger and has fought the way better competition. Evlev, Emmett, Korean Zombie. I mean, he lost all 3 of those, but they were all decent fights, I guess.
Josh Emmett was very close. He won the second round. He did a good job in that fight.
Yeah, I mean, Landwehr's not fighting near as good as competition as that. I think Ige will be able to piece him up on the feet, and Landwehr could possibly attempt a takedown, but I think he'll be a little bit too desperate with that, and Ige will be able to knock him out.
And yeah, he's going to get. I think like Landwehr's whole thing is outpacing people, outdogging people. Like I said, Dan Ige's got that dog in him. It's kind of hard to beat a guy like that, especially dominate a guy like that. The damage in this fight, both these guys have accrued a lot of damage before. I just think Ige will be a step ahead. Sadly, Nate the Train, this is a tough fight. I think they could have gave him a better opponent, like a worse opponent, and really hyped up the crowd, like to start the pay-per-view. Something like that could have been a great idea, but sadly, this one's gonna be tough. I still will be yelling Nate the Train, win or loss. So, Dan Ige, KO, round 2. Okay, for the next fight, we have Mike Malott versus Adam Fugitt. Very close fight, and some good striking probably happened in this fight, but I'm going to take Mike Malott. Adam Fugitt, good fighter, put on a good performance against Michael Morales, and pulled up a great upset against Kinoshita, and I feel like he's a very good underdog. I think the line's a little bit twisted, but Mike Malott, I think I like his wide, powerful stance. This guy just loads up for powerful punching, and if it goes to the ground, I think that he's got a BJJ advantage, although I think Adam Fugitt is a good grappler. And I think his power will show on the feet. I mean, you watch that Mickey Gall fight, and he's really stepping in, loading his hips up on all these punches, and it could be won in good night. So I'm going to say round 2 knockout from Mike Malott.
Okay. It'll be all of Malott's fights have ended in round 1, so it'll be interesting.
I can switch it. There's round 1.
I mean, I'm just saying it'll be interesting to see if it does get out of the first round. How does his gas tank hold up? I know he lost in the third round against Morales, but he looked decent in that fight.
He didn't go out cold either, is the thing. He kind of got like 10 punches in a row, so that was it's like hard to say exactly how the knockout might happen here, because Fugitt ate some big punches in that fight too.
Yeah, he did. And he was decently durable throughout that fight. Yeah, but I like Malott a lot here, so I'm going with him.
I think Malott sometimes in the Mickey Gall fight got stunned by some punches. You know, he had some blood dripping out his nose. Obviously, still had a great win, but I think Fugitt could find his opportunities there. He loves that left kick, whether it's to the head or to the body. And this guy does have a really stiff right hook and a pretty good left cross as well. So it could be a knockout fight, just whoever gets it first. But
right.
Also just
I do think people will bet on Fugitt just because he was a huge underdog in his last fight as well and won. So
right, and Tapology community here, 94% on Malott. Very twisted. I think that the odds right here probably should be like minus 160 for Malott, but I can see why. Home crowd, and looked very good in his 2 previous performances. So Malott knockout round 1. Okay, guys. For the big fight, the only fight that matters, please leave a like, subscribe, comment your pick down below. We got Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush. Man, I'm so split on this one. I'm going to have to go with Charles Oliveira just for a striking edge, I believe. I think he's faced more competitive strikers, and Beneil Dariush on their hand. I do think he holds the grappling advantage in this fight, and it's hard to say exactly how things will play out, but I'm going to take Charles Oliveira by a first-round knockout. This is going to be a tough fight. This is also like the doubters fight. Like both, if you've been like a UFC fan, you probably have doubted one of these guys at some point, and they proved you wrong. So, yeah, I'm sticking with Charles Oliveira. Very close. What do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be whoever gets the better striking off first. I mean, both of them are super hittable. I mean, Charles has been knocked down in his last 4 fights?
But yeah, a total maybe of like 7 times too. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Dariush has been flipped quite a few times as well. I don't know if it plays out on the ground. If it does, I mean, it'd probably be like if someone gets knocked down, then they'll jump in the guard or whatever. But
right.
Yeah, I don't really see Oliveira taking Dariush down. Gamrot couldn't. I mean, Gamrot was way too one-dimensional in that fight.
I don't think there's really a point to Charles taking him down. We get it. He's an amazing BJJ guy, but we have to remember that Beneil Dariush is a no-gi world champ in jiu-jitsu. And not to mention, in my belief, I think the best scrambler in the UFC. If you watch the scrambles versus Gamrot gets him down and boom, heel hook position all of a sudden.
Right. I mean, I think Oliveira can win some of the clinch positions with the knees and elbows. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be whoever hits hardest first, and I think Oliveira will prove that.
And another thing that I think about in this fight is who will be moving forward, because both these guys are. I mean, Beneil moved backwards in his last fight against Gamrot, but was also the only guy doing damage. Gamrot just came to wrestle. But Charles in his career has just been this guy that's been going forward and clashing with people. And Dariush is similar. But in this fight, what scares me for Oliveira, betting Oliveira, I don't think I'm going to bet any part of this fight, maybe besides an under. Oliveira was run forward, and Beneil does have a really powerful left overhand. And Charles, if he walks into that, he leaves his chin up a lot, leaves his chin up to be hit, walks into punches, doesn't get his head off the center line. That could put him straight down. And unlike other fights where Oliveira's been in, he just lays on his back. Beneil will jump into his guard. And I don't think there's too many doubts about that. I think Beneil will take that top control and try to break his will. This is a tough fight. And I think Beneil also might try to take down Charles in this fight. Now, however, Charles is really strong. I think he can stop a lot of those takedowns, but fence pressure and things like that, Beneil's been phenomenal at. So, very tough fight. I'm leaning with the Oliveira knockout, but this could go either way. And I wouldn't be disappointed if Oliveira lost or if Beneil lost. Either fighter's great. So,
I mean, Dariush's last 3 fights have gone to a decision. I don't know what the underline will be, probably 1.5, but hopefully that helps a little bit for the under.
Right. I mean, if you watch the Diego Ferreira fight, he had a step-in knee that almost finished Ferreira in the first round to the liver. Somehow, obviously, Ferreira good on the ground, survived that position. Tony Ferguson damn near broke his ankle, and then Gamrot left overhand drops him in the third round. Oliveira, like I said, though, I just think he's faced more competitive strikers in his time, and this is going to be a different fight. I really think Oliveira needs to start using more lengthy tools. He's so eager to go in and throw the heavy hooks and these hard punches when he needs to use his length, be a little bit lighter on his feet at times. And like I said, more competitive striking experience. He got Gaethje, Poirier, Chandler. Some of these guys are just very good on the feet, very good timing, a lot of power. I think Beneil's just a little bit sloppier, and when he gets heavy, his arms get heavy, gets a little bit more sloppy as the fight goes on. So I'd expect a knockout one way or the other here. And anything else you got for this one?
Yeah, knockout one way or the other is how I see it.
All right. Oliveira knockout round 1. Okay, for the final fight, we have Amanda Nunes versus Irene Aldana. Taking Amanda Nunes in this fight, it just feels like Amanda's very good at, striking the grapplers and grappling the strikers, you could say. Jermaine Durandamy is a good example. Very good striker. She just took her down and held her down the whole fight. And I think in this instance, we're going to see the same thing for Amanda Nunes. She's going to take down and hold down Irene Aldana in this fight. If you watch Irene Aldana fights, she can get taken down. Had some decent takedown defense moments, but then just gets her hips taken until she gets taken down. That happened in the Macy Chiasson fight. Happened in the Holly Holm fight, where she's just stuck on her back. And you're going to lose minutes in that instance. And I'm not going to disrespect Irene Aldana's boxing. It's solid and it can compete, but it's also going to be competitive on the feet. And I'd still lean Amanda Nunes slightly. What do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, this feels like a huge step up competition for Aldana. I mean, she's fighting Yana Santos and Macy Chiasson in the last 2 fights. I mean, it just feels like she's not quite at that level yet. I mean, in the Chiasson fight, she was probably on her way to losing that. I think it was 1-1 going into the third. But up until that up kick, I mean, I thought Chasson was winning that fight, and I had a bet on Aldana.
Right.
But anyways, yeah, I just think it's too big of a step-up competition for her, and I think Nunes, with something to prove here, wants to fight Pena again to knock her out again. Or not again, but...
Chasson does have that, like missing weight, lesbian energy strength that somehow she just takes down, and she's just so much better.
Yeah, she's huge. She's like 5'11".
And Amanda's strong, but she brings more technique, and experience, and hopefully cardio. Hopefully it's not like her getting tired against Pena, but obviously not a walk in the park fight either. I think anybody with as good a boxing as Irene Aldana, it could be a little bit nerve-wracking. I mean, we even see, people thought Valentina's untouchable, and Alexa Grasso, another fighter, Mexican fighter with great boxing, clipped her in some instances, and then was getting out-grappled for other parts of the fight. But, yeah, I think Amanda Nunes wins this fight in top position. So, any other thoughts here?
Do you like a decision or finish?
I do like decision. I think she just lays on her. I think
we'll
hear some boos. Other than that, there will not be a bets video out for this this week, and hopefully I can just post everything on Instagram. So if you guys want to pay attention to those, I don't think I'll be able to get the bet sheet and things like that out there. I'm gonna be on vacation, won't have my computer, so it'll be a lot of stuff just on Instagram, and maybe a little post on YouTube that'll say what our bets are.
Yep. Stay tuned to that Instagram, y'all.
Yes, sir. All right. Anything else from you?
Nope.
All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.
I know. It doesn't matter from the trenches. I'm built like this. Don't doubt me, I couldn't do it. The all said I couldn't do it. Look at me now.